golf gear. What are you doing today?
No, it's just hot out. I've been dressing a little bit more breezy lately.
A little bit more golfy.
A little bit more golfy here.
Golfy?
Yeah, it's a time in the year that's acceptable.
It definitely is acceptable.
Yeah. I
Sounds
think
like
Charles
fun.
is in the room, no?
He is waiting in the wings
Patiently.
patiently
We
forever.
got a show today, boy. Woo.
We got a show today. I can't get my head at the right height.
Yeah.
There we go. So how are you, sir? Do you want me to let him in?
Yeah.
Let's let him in. Boom. He has been admitted. Look at this.
It's amazing.
Technology. It's amazing how we always end up at the top of the screen. It's almost like it happens on purpose.
Possibly. Welcome, Charles.
Welcome,
Thanks for having me,
Charles.
guys.
How are you?
He's got a golf shirt on too, so he knows where it's at.
He does,
Buddy.
but his may signify that he's in Vegas having a
No, he won that in
really fun
Vegas.
time.
Yeah, he's a professional poker player.
Wow.
So Charles, we're recording, so we've already started. We're ready to go. I gave you the rundown on the
That's
show the other
fantastic.
day, which is we just talk about real estate related stuff, and we're happy to have you today. And I'm going to give you a really quick introduction. Charles is a commercial real estate broker with Remax West. He is a manager at the Remax West office that I belong to. He is a member of more than one committee and board, but I know Trreb, you are on, what are the boards you're on, Trreb? So I don't,
So I'm on the MLS Technology and Related Services Committee.
there you go. That's the one. So I would have said that wrong. So, and he does a fantastic job. He is a resource for me, and we're happy to have him today. So,
Welcome to the show.
All right, here we go. Please subscribe to the channel. Please.
hey guys, YouTube's got an algorithm, and it really help us out a lot if you could like, comment, and subscribe. This is how we can get more information out to more people and share the message of Toronto real estate.
In
Thanks.
that order. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the damn bell.
Thank you
Awesome.
for
Charles?
having me, guys.
Yeah.
This is great. I get two realtors with all of this stuff in the news about real estate this week. This is going to be fun. I'm interested to pick your brains because, you know, it seems like there's some people speaking on all of the realtors' behalf right now. And it's a little confusing because some articles are talking that, realtors are on board with this. I'm talking about blind bidding, by the way. Can we start with that? I want to start with blind bidding because this is big.
Absolutely, if you'd like.
Important.
Big topic. Big
So
topic.
here, let me share my screen for a sec. We're getting crazy here, guys. Are you ready? Look at that. We're going to share the screen. Boom, and it worked. Okay. Election 2021. Liberal plan to ban blind bidding divides real estate industry. So you guys want to talk about this? What's your opinion on blind bidding, Charles?
As you know, or a lot of people know, the CBC published a video, and it was entitled "Realtors Behaving Badly." And if for those of you who remember that marketplace report, it triggered something in the industry. And the number one complaint that comes across the Real Estate Council of Ontario's complaints department is somewhat in relationship to multiple offers. So we've all heard about them. You got a hot listing, you get tons of showing, and then lo and behold, and people are holding offer dates. And then on the offer date, the one complaint that does come across our regulator's desk quite frequently is the fact that people were very frustrated with the process. And that process is that you submit your offer to the seller or the listing agent, and you don't know where you stand with everybody else. You're literally going in blind. And we have regulations that don't allow us to share any of that information with other people. So the new Real Estate Trust and Real Estate Services Act has addressed this. They've actually made a provision where with the seller's consent, they can share what is on everyone else's offer. So the groundwork was already laid out, but now the feds are taking it one step further, and they're saying, you know what, we want to make this federal. We won't just want to make this, provincial wide. We want to make it Canada wide. That if you want to put in an offer, that everyone else should be able to see what is on each other's offer, so they stand. And what's ironic is the Liberals come out with this solution to our housing crisis, but the Conservatives were the original party that kind of thought this process up. So whether you get a Conservative or Liberal government, I have a funny feeling that this idea is going to carry through. What are your thoughts, guys?
So is it Charles has a connection issue, or is it my side, Darryl?
No. It's Charles has some kind of a Wi-Fi issue, but I can
Yeah.
still hear everything he was saying.
Yeah, you can still hear you, just a little on the video part.
Little Max Headroom-ish, but that's okay.
Well, it's interesting what he knows, and this is something only Charles would know because nobody else is actually going to read the Trust in Real Estate Services Act, right? And so there's actually a provision that they put in, and Charles, we've talked about blind bidding, I think like 4 or 5 episodes. We talked about when the precs were allowed and how I was telling everybody that they named this Trust in Real Estate to make it sound very consumer based and everything else like that, but really, it was just us getting our personal real estate corporations passed, and everything else was just kind of bonus. So there are some things in there that are consumer related that may or may not ever come to fruition, but it is about the underlying tone of the act is how can we help consumers? How can we protect consumers?
Well, the best part about this,
I think, for all of us to walk into a multiple offer situation knowing what is on everybody's offer. We're just not accustomed to that.
For sure.
And that's
Let's talk about the issues with it. Let's talk about the issues then. Like we were talking about it a little bit this week at our meeting, right? What is the
Toronto Regional Real Estate Board and the Ontario Real Estate Association would like the consumer to have choice. They don't think that the federal government should be in a position to impose this onto the provinces.
Yep. Okay. So each province is different, first of all. So if it's a federally regulated issue, then it's going to be something that will cause conflict because each market is different in Canada. That's one.
And we also know that the ban on foreign buying seems to be a constant theme to every party's election platform. So it doesn't seem like it's a very popular thing to support foreigners buying our real estate here in Canada.
Well, hold on. Let's get to that point next, because this blind bidding thing, I think, is a pretty big issue. I think obviously, from a realtor's perspective, I mean, does it really matter for you guys at the end of the day? You're selling the house regardless, like whether you sell it for 100,000 more or 50,000 more or 100,000 less. Like at the end of the day, once you pay your splits and you pay your brokerage fee and everything, like it doesn't affect your pocketbook that much. It affects the seller a great deal, right? And the buyer a great deal. But the house is getting sold under any system regardless, it seems, right? But like, where is the benefit to people not knowing where the best offer is? And what like, who cares what the guy's name is? Like, what is all this horse shit?
So there's lots of benefits.
Necessarily.
Go ahead, Charles.
Go ahead, TK.
Well, the benefits, you're saying, what are the benefits? The benefits to the seller.
I think that the benefit to the consumer at the end of the day, it benefits the consumer because they know their place. It doesn't necessarily benefit the seller.
No, the buyer, you mean?
Multiple opposites. The buyer
There's
has
good
the
arguments.
knowing what's on everybody else's offer.
Well, but that just means more people can bid it up a little bit slower to get to the same place too, as people go up incrementally. Like there's arguments on both sides of this thing. I don't even understand if the idea is more affordability out there, which one has the potential to make things more affordable? Having a blind bidding war or not a blind bidding war? Why don't we have blind bidding wars on toilet paper?
Yeah, I agree with you on that point, Darryl, is that either way, one party might benefit more than the other, but does it make every situation will be different? there's certain circumstances where an open bidding would have made that guy who was going to pay 200 grand more only pay 100 grand more and keep houses more affordable, because that will impact the rest of the sales. But then there's other situations where two people are neck and neck, and the guy who's in second place, this happens all the time. He loses, and then he goes, man, if I only knew that guy was going to pay 20 grand more, I would have paid 30 grand more, because
Right.
I
And
just
then the
didn't
next
know
guy.
that was the thing. So
And the
both
next guy goes,
situations can lead to
"Oh."
actually price increases and price decreases.
Right.
So-
So like, tell me, why is the real estate organization getting their panties so bunched up over this? Like, why does it matter so much to you guys?
Change.
Exactly.
Is that really it? Because generally, like, change is easy to make when there's more dollar signs on the other side of the change. Change is really hard when there's less dollar signs on the other side of it, right?
We have an industry that is, unfortunately, and Charles and I had an issue this week, not as regulated by the brokers and the agents as we would like. And
Ooh.
trying to get people to follow by the rules that have been in place for decades is already a challenge. And to go and put more rules in place in a whole new system is Charles is a man. How many agents, Charles, at the office that you manage? Charles, how many agents
I'm
at the
over 120 agents right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's 120 agents that just Charles is managing. To imagine some of the other brokerages, what they're managing, and each manager then has to try to retrain people and go through the process to try to help people figure this whole thing out, because it'll be a mess trying to implement a change like this. It'll be a mess. I promise you. It's already a mess sometimes when agents don't know what they're doing. So imagine now there's whole new rules at play. They're going to be disclosing the contents of offers. They're going to be holding back some information. They're going to be playing favorites with this guy because they think they can. It's going to be.
It sounds like a technology-driven solution, doesn't it? Wouldn't there be a very simple software you can make that could do all of this for all you would have to do is enter your client's name, your Trreb ID or whatever you guys have, your little fobby thing, and boom, here's our offer, right? And it's
Okay.
Darryl, you just actually hit the nail on the head actually in regards to technology. So Toronto Regional Real Estate Board is investing in blockchain currently. They are currently looking
smart contracts.
So yeah, smart contracts, exactly. So you can make a smart contract purchase if what you're buying is regulated, it's controlled. So what we have are pieces of paper going across desks. Your mortgage broker gets a piece of paper, your lawyer gets a piece of paper, the clients all get a piece of paper. What if you use technology to create something like in blockchain, like a token, and that's physically what you're buying? So things like land registries, only one person can have title
Yes.
to a property.
Yes. Yes, I love it. This is where it has to go.
So we recognize that at the board level, but we're being the richest board in North America. I guess we've got to lead the way in investing in this type of technology, and then hopefully everybody else follows us.
Well, because otherwise, where do you guys fit in? Like at the board, I mean, not the realtors, but where does the board fit in when there's all these tokens out there? And there's really, I mean, I don't even know where the board fits in now, but where will they fit in then? Unless they're the ones that create the system, right? So they're really smart because they're going to watch, they're watching their revenues potentially disappear into oblivion soon.
Well, money has a factor to everything. Or when you actually figure out the regulatory aspect of things, realtors will always have a responsibility of navigating tumultuous waters that buyers potentially enter into, as well as sellers, and having at least the technology support the realtor in preventing them making catastrophic mistakes.
So just enlighten me, guys. So it's offer night, and I'm going into a technology with a smart contract, and my offer is, asking price with a 30-day closing, no conditions, right? Somebody else submits another offer. It's asking price, 30-day closing, conditional on financing, right?
I think first of all, attached to the token, you set up the rules of engagement, right? You set up, this is how the bidding process is going to be. If you're interested, like sign up. If you're not, go find something else. This is how we're doing it on this token, this piece of property. Here's all the information you need. You don't have to go ask this guy for the geo warehouse and this guy for this. And you don't everything is on this one token, all in one place. You can make all your decisions and you log into some kind of software that sets it up in the rules that were set up at the beginning. And then you make a decision. So, I mean, who needs more than 2 rounds or 3 rounds of going back to the table? You set it at the beginning. You say, this is going to be 3 rounds of bidding. Okay. You can back out whenever you want or stay in whenever you want. And here's what the top guy is at. Do whatever the fuck you want.
What does that mean he's at? Is it he's got a condition on financing? He's got a 30-day closing.
With a smart
he's asking
contract,
for the patio furniture.
Yeah. So with a smart contract, it's like everything is like a checkbox. Like there's like standardization across the board, right? So this guy put this on, this guy put this on, this guy put this on. So maybe it's like you check off, this guy's out of the running. Forget it. You're not in the second round. Like, I don't know. You can make.
Well, what about if he's got a clause that says he can extend the closing date up to another 24 months, right?
Yeah, you tell him to fuck off, or you cross it off, and you.
But again, how is that communicated to competing buyers? Right? Maybe there's collusion that's at risk. So now I go and I put in an offer because I know that Charles has got a listing and I'm trying to help him out. So I put in a firm offer with over asking with because the smart contract system shows all these features, but I put in there, the buyer is able to unilaterally extend the closing date up to 24 more months because maybe I need more time for the market to rise before I can get my financing. Yeah. Is that now an even playing field, right? Like there's just these little things that become an issue when it comes to disclosure.
Who cares about that?
When we disclose nothing, then you don't have to worry about those things. And that's the argument.
But what's better for affordability?
I think but on the disclosure issue, TK, I think what the technology solves is that there's full transparency when everything's digitized. So you can't hide any information. So anything that would be of direct interest to that property would be registered underneath that token. So you can't get into as much trouble if you're using this technology because everyone gets the same token. Everyone gets the same information. There's no favoritism that's placed in that scenario. But I think where the confusion is going to lie are the rules. So I think that a bidding system could work, and we see it every single day. The little website that you might have heard of, it's called eBay, right? So when you actually go in to put a bid on a particular product, there's a minimum bid. What has to change legislatively is that the government has to understand that minimum bid is binding. So if someone does put in a minimum bid, that property is sold. And this is going to solve, right, the practice of real estate agents and sellers going out and underpricing their properties on purpose to obtain multiple offers.
Isn't that like what these Shoply or whatever? What's that?
Shopify?
These US? No. The US websites that are buying your house at X if they don't sell it in 30 days. Like, isn't that just what they're doing? They're setting a floor for it.
You're thinking about Properly here, but then iBuyer and Zillow offers and all these type of things.
That's right.
Sorry, Charles said something there that piqued my interest.
Up in Canada, we've been fighting the whole iBuying platform. It hasn't received the response like it has received in the United States, and that's because our federal multiple listing service called Realtor.ca, which is owned by the Canadian Real Estate Association, is so strong and prevalent. We actually have a massive database where most people go to find real estate listings. And it's more fragmented in the United States, which is why they're a little bit more flexible with the rules.
We also have higher closing costs. So when they give you an iBuyer and then they got to drop an extra 30 grand in closing costs, that's a huge loss for them. So they have to offer less on the iBuyer side, and that becomes a problem. In the States, your closing costs could be $500. And so it's like, sure, I'll offer $2,000 less than I know I can sell it for because I'm only going to close for 500 and take my chances, whatever it is. So I know that's an issue. But Charles, you said underpricing property. So I list a property for $1 million and someone sends an offer for $1 million and that's the best offer. I would have to take it.
If you set that minimum, yeah.
That's right.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's
need.
Ooh.
No, but that means people will start pricing stuff properly and then the market gets to take it.
Yes.
Right? That's what is really supposed to be happening with the blind bidding.
I agree.
And so what I think the people want, I don't know if it makes it actually more or less affordable. I have no idea, but if technology is involved, it must bring down the cost of something. But regardless, I don't know if this makes it any more affordable, but it certainly like we just went through this, TK. For me, I mean, we went into, not only did we go into a blind bid, but we got forced in to a bully offer blind bid, right? And that's fucking crazy to try and navigate through. How do normal people that don't talk about real estate every Sunday morning and don't do real estate for a living every single day, how does like just Sally and Henry, who just got out of like school, figure out how to do this?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So anyways, okay, so blind bidding, we will never all agree on something, but I love that Charles is so excited about this tokenization thing and the smart contracts. And I love that Trreb is actually smart enough to be ahead of this thing, because it's happening. Like there's zero doubt it's happening, because it has to happen. There's too much, like people are dying now to know things, right? Everybody wants information. Everybody's freaking out about their privacy, but people want to know what they're buying. Like who doesn't want to know what they're getting into when they're spending on average $1 million? People can't even fathom that $1 million, by the way. They've never made it before, right? Most people that own $1 million home are not millionaires. They never made $1 million in their lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, okay, so hold on. Let's switch gears a little bit. Foreign buyers, like you were talking about, because I think this is going to have a significant impact to where this is all heading. But okay, so foreigners are like the target of every single party. Like they're the bad guys. They don't want to blame anybody here, all the idiots here, right? Because God forbid they offend like a voter,
Somebody.
right? Somebody.
Yeah.
I can't offend anybody. But so the foreigners, all the people that are actually driving the goddamn market and the economy right now, even though they're pretending like it's not happening, it's still happening. All these people are the enemies of every single party. How's this going to play out? I mean, first of all, do we even believe that they're going to keep any of the promises that they're making right now? But let's say they do. Okay, let's assume in fairyland they keep all these promises. What the hell's going on? How are we supposed to bring in 400,000 people a year and not let them buy shit?
Well, there's a provision, Darryl, that someone who's made an application for permanent residency can be exempt from the tax and from that category. So the people that are legitimately going to be living here in Canada do have a means of buying real estate not being subject to these new proposed rules.
If they applied for it,
apply. It has to be an active application.
I knew there'd be some kind of interesting ways around this rule. Okay, what else?
Well, that right now is for the foreign buyers provincial tax.
Oh,
that's
but they're talking about
how that works.
banning them. They have to live here for 2 years before they can buy anything.
And that's you see, it's only 5%, less than 5% actually, of foreign buyers that are actually investing in Canadian real estate. It is a big blown up topic that will really have a very small effect on our market.
But I love how they said we'll just get them to build. In the
resale market or in the overall market?
Overall.
5%.
Include free construction.
5%.
It's less than 5%.
I agree. And we did the math too, because we figured out how much provincial land transfer, provincial foreign buyers tax BC and Ontario was actually making. And we took that percentage as a percentage of the overall market and how much it was. And the numbers all add up. So even after they introduced that, they still can prove that it's less than 5% of the market is foreign buyers, or they just have a connection in Canada and the money's coming in through a Canadian source and we can't track it. But legitimate foreign investment, it's less than 5%.
But like I know a few developers, and some have been rather vocal. Like Brad Lamb has been on the record numerous times saying, like, who are we all kidding? It's all foreign buyers. I don't sell anything to anybody that lives here, right? And I know a lot of guys who will say the same thing. And there's a lot of developers that are not local developers that are also, most of their buyers are not from around here. So, I mean, I don't, is 5% an actual fact?
That was from the actual collections of that tax.
Is that
So
like
whether or
this
not-
year or like in the last?
No, over the last few years since they introduced it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have the numbers on me, but I remember looking at them.
So local people are buying all these condos up and renting them to newcomers? Really?
Well, here's another thing. The some of the foreign investment groups, syndicates, and different types of partnerships have been created in Canada. So there's corporations and funds that are Canadian based who happen to be funded by foreign investors. Those
Right.
don't count. They're Canadian. It's a Canadian company.
Got it.
Right. So
Yes.
there's all these other areas too. But anyways, I think the point that Charles is saying and that I agree with is that the foreign buyers are not the problem, and that this is
Oh.
not going to change the landscape of Canadian real estate where all of a sudden houses are going to drop 20% because, Joe Blow from Ireland can't buy from his couch anymore.
No, but you have, okay, so hold on a sec. But is there an effect? Because there's people that most of them aren't even in the real estate market at all, that are just sitting there going, goddamn foreigners are driving up all these goddamn prices. My kids, they got to move an hour and a half away. And if they're talking like I'm talking now, they already live far away, right? So like, but this is really happening in like outskirts of Alberta and like Prince Edward Island or wherever, Quebec, like it's happening all over the place, right? So like, how is this? So voters though may vote for somebody based on this malarkey that doesn't really affect a great deal of the market. So I don't know who any of us really want to be in power for the next however many years. I don't even know how it works anymore. I want an election tomorrow, but like it could have a great effect on many people that don't even give a shit about real estate, but just want to like fuck the foreigners or like local. Like this is happening a lot now, isn't it?
I think, Darryl, I think the perception out there is that it's people think that they're foreigners buying the real estate, and they're not. They're actually Canadian. You just look for it. So we have a huge
Right.
number of immigrants coming to Canada. They
Yeah.
look like they're foreigners, but they're not. They're Canadian.
They're Canadians, exactly. And they're moving
Well-
to small towns because they're more affordable, because Toronto and Vancouver and these other major cities are not.
They're not. And they're
That's
never
it.
gonna be.
Yeah.
Never, ever gonna be ever again, which is interesting because there was another article here. Housing affordability means boomer property values need to drop.
Well, the affordability. I'm gonna paint a very broad picture here, right across Canada, but specifically here in Ontario. The average take-home income per household in Ontario is $66,000 per year. And as a mortgage practitioner, you would understand that you don't want to take more than 50% of your gross household income and put it towards real estate. So you've got literally on an annual basis about $33,000 of your income, your take-home income, that you can put towards real estate. Ironically, and here's why I think we're kind of peaking out here. An $800,000 mortgage. If you got a great interest rate today, let's be conservative at 1.5%. Your monthly mortgage payment, principal and interest, is about $3,200. We're at that point. People have taken their disposable income and thrown it all into real estate to live the buying real estate dream. They can afford it. They're getting mortgages. They're getting approved. However, there comes a point where you just don't make enough for the prices to go up anymore.
But that's why we need
the
all
real
these.
story.
That's why we need the immigration, because they can
Right.
afford it, right? They can afford it,
Right.
or
So,
or they don't get to come.
I like
and
the
that's
the
why
t-
there's a huge surge in
Huge surge in.
people, companies and government trying to build purpose-built rentals.
But do we even see the surge? Like, I mean, I see all these development applications. I don't really see a surge, if anything, since like the last 10 years, we did see a surge, and then it disappeared when the market kind of died in what year was it? 2018, 17, 17, 18?
In 2017, yeah, April of 2017.
Yeah. So, I mean, but other than that, it's been like crazyville. Anyways, if they, okay, so so you're talking affordability. They're also talking about like lengthening term of mortgage and amortization periods, right? Because I mean, they can't go much lower on interest rate, but they want it to still be as affordable as possible. So they're playing this crazy, not even balancing game, where they're just driving it up somehow while making it affordable, right? So like if the liberals win, they've got all these promises that are going to make things cost more but be more affordable monthly. It's like cars, right? It's like everybody has a Mercedes now, but who cares? Because like you don't have to pay anything for them because you get 0.9% interest over, 7 years, right? And it costs nothing to pay for a Mercedes every month. This is what they're doing to the housing market.
This is the talk, Darryl. The reason that Canada has been so resilient in all the most recent economic crashes, like the Great Recession, and even why we bounced back so much from April 2017, is because of the banking system. We have like one of the strictest, most conservative banking systems out there. I know that it's talk that this is like, oh, we can make it more affordable. It's not going to happen. They've been tightening the rules, and actually, there's a lot of articles coming out now, like this weekend and Friday, because of all this talk of make more money for people, make it easier for people, give people lower payments, so that will help with affordability. And there's a lot of contrary opinions saying giving more money will not make things more affordable. We actually need to take money away from people. We have to actually restrict the amount that they can borrow, make their payments more expensive so that they make the hard decisions of not getting the 4-bedroom, 3,500 square foot house. They need to go and live in the townhouse for a little bit longer until they can build up equity.
But that's not the goal. The goal is to pump more money into the system, which means more mortgages, more borrowing, more loans, which means the rates have to stay low, and we have to figure out ways to have people afford this shit. Look, if you drive around, it's crazy. Where are all these wealthy people coming from? Everything is huge and beautiful with crazy cars. You don't have to go very far to see the most unbelievable houses everywhere in Mississauga, in Newmarket, downtown, in like there's crazy amounts of money everywhere, or somehow people are able to afford all of this crazy stuff.
People have money, but even Trudeau 2 weeks ago was saying how fiscal responsibility or whatever it wasn't his chief concern. So I know that it's easy to say that the government's painting a picture of, I don't think the government understands money as much as everyone hopes they do. I don't think they understand the economy as much as everyone wants them to do. And unfortunately, we're on a runaway train right now, and that it's leading to all these issues that we have, which are obviously going to cause us problems down the road. There's nobody who can disagree with that right now. Charles was just saying everybody's at the max point, what they can afford. There's problems coming. Okay. I've already been seeing power sales. I'm already been talking to people doing second, third mortgages. There's lots of problems that are going to be coming out of all this. The government right now, their only job before the election is to try to eliminate fear so that people vote for them. No one cares about anything that's actually going to happen. They're just like, how do I get more votes?
Yeah, what do I
and
say
then
now?
That way I'll figure it out afterwards, because the more votes I get, the more power I have. And it's just politics, man. So all these articles are all political based.
No, but the reality is they have to keep these things low because the prices are going to keep going up, and people have to be able to afford. If every house is $1 million and nobody can afford them, what the hell good is that? Right? And they're not going to get less affordable. There's many examples. No, it won't. There's so many examples.
Take care of that. The market will
the
take
market.
Care. If people can't afford $1 million house anymore, guess what? No one buys them.
No, they bring in people that can afford the $1 million house. This is how it works here in Canada. This is how it works here in the world, actually. If you look around at all these major cities, like there's no many of them have so much land around them that it's crazy that they've gone up so high and that the prices are so crazy, right? This is just how it's built. This is the machine. This is the mechanism, and it has to keep going. I mean, maybe there's a day of reckoning at some point where everything goes to hell and prices crash like crazy. That's going to be scary. And everybody collectively is holding hands together to not allow that to happen. All of us, including the three of us, are hoping it just keeps going up and up and up and doesn't have that crash, because that crash is scary. Jordan,
we all want it. Darryl, you're right. We all want it to go up. We want to go up at a controllable rate.
At a reasonable pace. Right. Well, that's really hard when demand is continuously outstripping supply while prices get out of hand and people keep buying stuff. Right. And so like you get articles like, here, check this one out. Okay. Because this is what we're also dealing with. Contentious Toronto condo that angered community given the green light. So on top of everybody crying about, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to buy, we've got a crisis on our hands, you still got all these neighbors trying to make sure nothing gets built, right? And then the city saying, yeah, I don't care if it makes sense to put 100 stories there, you can put 23.
I think you're talking about the Parkside development. That's actually very close to my office. That contentious condo development is going to be sitting on land that is affordable housing currently, and that's the political issue that did come up. But you know what? It's unfortunate because the municipality does not involve itself with privately owned properties. So you can't, as long as they get zoning permission, this condo developer is going to build what they're going to be allowed to build on their land. So let's flip that. If private enterprise is allowed to build and feed the supply, what is government's role in all this? And that was actually outlined in some of the platforms here. I believe the Conservatives want to convert 15% of all the federally owned buildings into affordable housing. So, and under the Trudeau campaign, they're basically promising almost 1.4 to 1.5 million extra units without a plan on where those units are actually going to physically come from. So, you guys have said it. There are empty promises being laid out there. I just don't see that the solution is being you can't solidify these announcements because you don't have an actual solution apart from converting 250,000 federally owned units. Like they're going to take 50% of all federally owned buildings, convert them to affordable housing. That's only 250 units.
Right.
That's a fraction of what we actually need to make an impact on the supply issue.
It's not even a fraction. It's like a dollop. Yeah, this is what we were talking about the other day. We went through the numbers and it's like, this doesn't help anything. Even if they did accomplish this, it didn't help anything. And first of all, who's doing all that? Like, how are we going to do it? There's more cranes here than anywhere in the world, right? Like the prices for labor are going crazy because there's not enough people to build these things. There's really only like a handful of general contractors that build these buildings for the developers anyways. Like, it's not possible. So like how this doesn't end. The only way that these guys can quell the storm is by making it feel like it's more affordable. It doesn't matter what the price is. How much do I have to pay every month? Right? And that's what they're all just trying to do with all kinds of different policies and plans and baloney, giving first-time home buyers bigger incentives. I don't even know what that entails. Or
like a tax break. It's not anything. Yeah.
Most of them don't even have the money. They're all borrowing the money from their parents. So do they get a tax break on borrowed money from the parents? Isn't that a tax break already?
Well, that's already been taxed. That's a gift.
Right. So like
one of the things I brought.
Were you referring to that $40,000 tax-free account for a deposit on your first home?
No, there was a home buyer. There was a home buyer tax credit, I think, of $750 that they're going to increase to like 1,000 or something like that. Like it's
There was a few things that they mentioned. All of them are horseshit, and they only affect like probably like a tiny fraction of the people, and who knows if they're even voting.
Yeah. So Charles, we're already halfway through the show and I want to talk about Realm because this is Darryl's wheelhouse and he's a tech guy and he's got lots of critiques of our MLS system. And Charles is probably one of the guys, the best guys for Darryl to talk to about the new Realm system and everything about it. And I am not. So let's jump into that. All right. So
it's Realm.
So
There you go.
Realm is our new MLS system that we're going to be launching this October at the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board level. It is a collaboration between Terranet and Stratus, who is our current MLS service provider. They formed a company called AMP. And what AMP is now doing is they are building our new next generation MLS system. So we just announced its name. There is a website on the homepage of the login screen for realtors to log into to look at the graphical user interface that encompasses the new technology. So I can only talk about what has been publicly announced. There are a few things that are being talked about at the board level, enhancements, whether to apply third-party applications to the software. But we at Trreb, we provide hundreds of services to realtors. So it's really hard to keep a track of every single service that we provide to our members. And at the same time, the big one being the MLS system to be ignored and let get antiquated. The biggest improvement that you're probably going to notice, TK, as a realtor, is going to be the mobile user interface experience. So right now, we don't have a very good mobile user experience with our current MLS system. So we've heard the membership loud and clear. That is going to be a new focus in going forward with this new platform.
Okay. And so each member is going to now be they're going to have access to Realm, and we're going to be transitioning from the antiquated systems into Realm, hopefully, where there will no longer be an option, right? Where it'll be like, this is it, guys. Everybody's going digital, and the benefits to Realm are the blockchain technology, right? Listings will be in the form of NFTs.
They will be?
Yeah.
When the hell's this happening?
Well, that's how
October.
blockchain works. Blockchain
I
works
know, but
on
when
a
is this
platform where
happening?
You have uneditable tokens, right?
But this is already in the works? You guys are already doing this?
They've been speaking about this for the last 4 years, 5
No
years.
way. Oh, but are you going to be using Canadian funds, or is it going to be Ethereum tokens?
Oh, no. We're not talking about a payment system. We're talking about the actual physical database and the registry system itself. So
But
like
at some point, it has to be tokenized by something.
right. So what do you think your home is?
Oh, okay. So you're
Right?
saying the home is the token?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Wow.
That's what's going to sit on the chain.
So it's just a smart contract on the chain then that's tied to your
Right.
house. Okay, beautiful. And Trreb is already working on this?
Yeah. So we know that that's going to be
smart.
the future. But think about it. You have more control over the data.
Trreb just saved themselves. How are they going to get everybody's information into the system and create all those contracts? They get
So right
created.
now it's in the development phase as to exactly what is permanently and uneditable. There were some questions on the last call I had with TK's team leader, about how they're going to monitor changes to the marketing. So we're going to probably split the token off from the way that token is actually marketed. And then that's ultimately where the value is going to come from. You are still buying the token, but right, the marketing and all those changes and how you market that token are still going to be the realtor's responsibility.
So basically, we're going to have the technology there in place to be able to prevent fraud, to be able to prevent duplication of listings, to be able to control the listing information more so that third parties can't just go and take it. And I don't know what they're doing with it, but they're not doing what Trreb wants them to do with it. So this will give more control to Trreb, protecting the consumer, allowing for a more seamless process of sales, keeping agents more accountable too, because like we said, regulating agents is not easy. It never will be. And so having that one more layer of, hey, make sure you input the information correctly so that we know exactly what it is that you're selling. And then I think after that, Charles, and you probably can't speak too much about it now because decisions haven't been made, but then Darryl, things like using crypto for purchasing, things like blind bidding, things like that auction style of sales will become much easier because of this platform. Right.
You know what? It's like
Darryl's dreaming right now. He's in a dream.
No, you know what? I'm kind of like I'm impressed that Trreb has gone to this point already at this point, but I am absolutely afraid for what Trreb will actually produce and how poorly a job they could do, seeing what they've done with something that they've, been the front runner in for 50 years. And just seeing how the industry is. Maybe if you're the guy leading the charge, it might be something that turns out well because you seem to know what the hell you're talking about. But in reality, I mean, that could be a huge disaster.
So Stratus,
Like, there's a lot of stuff you got to put in. Either you're gonna hold on. So let me ask you a question. The token gets created when somebody decides they want to sell, or somebody's out there trying to tokenize every house in the GTA or
that would be the
Ontario or
land
Canada.
registry. That's why we partnered with Terranet. So
The
for those
Terranet is, oh boy, this is a big project.
This is a big project.
This is beautiful. You guys better not fuck this up. This is important. No, but this is seriously important. This is actually what like saves the real estate market from itself right now. Because it's a
Stratus and Matrix.
What I want to address. The reason why we're looking at the technology, some people call blockchain a solution looking for a problem. We think that blockchain is going to save us. Blockchain is not a database. It's a protocol.
Yeah.
Right? It's a procedure. And that's what, unfortunately, the non-technical people don't understand about blockchain technology. So our biggest fear, and this is something that your listeners might be able to relate to, we have counterfeit MLS systems floating all around us. We have everyone claiming that the data that they see when a house is available is theirs. We need to put a stop to that.
Whose is it?
Well, you get like individual brokerages.
No, but whose is it though? But whose is it? Treb's?
No, it's the homeowners. The homeowner owns the home.
Right. Yes.
Right. So what? And as a real estate board, they're under contract with us, so we upload that to our system. The problem right now is there's a little bit of a gray area about what people can use that data for. So what they're doing, you sign an IDX agreement and you propagate all that information down to your servers. You've got a replicate server. And then you can modify the information and you can redistribute it as you wish. You see the problem?
And that's a problem. Yeah.
You see it all around. You see it all around. You see, like, even in the pre-construction, they're taking even renderings from a different project and using it to market, some other property. I mean, renderings on a whole other levels, like a bunch of malarkey, but a very, very important tool that everybody should use. But anyways, the point is that this will regulate the industry. It will automatically. But the problem is now it's not decentralized, which is the whole point. There's you guys. You guys are making the rules. You're making the technology. You're making the contracts. You're deciding what terms are allowed in as an option, which ones aren't. Like, this is very centralized, which is what you guys want from your perspective for sure, but kind of defeats the whole. This is my confusion about this whole technology in general. Is it's supposed to be decentralized, but it's just a whole bunch of centralized platforms made by not the banks and not the governments. It defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
I think it does. But however, everything is about protection. Everybody wants to protect their own interest. The board is no different.
Oh, the board is brilliant.
Well, yeah, they're notorious for it. They're gonna protect their positions. And right now, our position, we used to own all the data. Remember, before technology even existed, we had to, they would print the listings on a high-speed dot matrix printer on perforated sheets of paper that you could separate when they got to the branches.
Yeah.
If you wanted to buy a house back in the day in the 80s, early 90s, you had to visit a real estate brokerage that had those sheets sitting in at what we call the Bible at the time. Yeah. We owned the system, and then it became all available to the public on the internet. And then our role changed. The buyer representative emerged, where we all used to work for the seller, right? Things changed. And now it's almost seems like the consumer has more information than the realtor.
Oh my God, yes. You're taking it back. Okay. I think, yeah, I'm excited to see how this works. So tell me, okay. If there is the vision, which I think we share, like this ultimate realm. Okay. Where are we on the timeline, from 0 to 100% done? Realistically, like, don't Elon Musk us here. Where are we?
I think the platform is already there. It's the algorithm that's being developed, right? We're going to migrate all of our legacy data over to the new system, which is why occasionally we're going to have some Trreb outages because that's what happens. It's a very arduous, painful process. This October, the new interface, which is the first stage of the launch, all the realtors will now get to parallel the two systems using the same database. And then eventually, once everybody is off the old platform on the new platform, and we can actually shut the old platform off, all the provisions, all the links from the legacy data will be migrated to the new database. But it's going to be transparent to the end user because you guys will continue to use the front end that you choose. Right now, we have a choice between Matrix or Stratus. So you will continue to decide to use whatever interface that you've subscribed to, which is like a browser on the internet. You're just using, that's your portal. That's how you browse the internet. So we're going to always be able to maintain that front end, but completely separately, right? Managing the database on the back end in the blockchain.
Interesting. Which will help with the diversity in the Trreb membership, right? Because there's some people who are still figuring out. My dad's 40 years in the business. He's still figuring things out with Stratus. Never mind trying to switch over to Matrix. So for him to have to go to a whole new platform, that would be a problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So are you guys just gonna one day turn off the old system? Is everybody like, I see handwritten offers still? Like, what the hell's going on in this industry? Like, really?
Everything is possible. But the thing about it is, there's going to come a point where you just decide. Like, I don't know anybody that still carries around a pager. I think I met the last agent with a pager on his belt not that long ago. He refused our ways with it. He refused to buy a cell phone. I'm like, seriously, dude?
That's crazy.
What are you doing?
That's amazing, now. So hold on a sec. So what is there anything that stops House Sigma or any of these other companies from doing the exact same thing or doing it better? Or, I mean, it's smart that Trreb maybe seems like they're ahead of the game and has some pretty strong partners.
Darryl, Trreb would never try to stop anybody because that would be anti-competitive.
Right.
I know that. And they're definitely never acting in bad faith or anti-competitively. But what is there anything to, like, the information is all public now, right?
Well, what we've already announced is public information. It's not really there's no surprise. There's no new information in this podcast. It's really what has already been available. But I wanted to share with you guys. Sometimes it's so new to certain people that they don't even know what they're talking about, and it's the uneducated that seem to have the strongest opinions. So what we're doing here is trying to educate your listeners and say, hey, look, there's nothing to be scared of here. We're just as a board and as an industry are trying to take back a little bit of the control so that we can, because any process needs rules and regulations. If you don't have rules and regulations, it's the Wild West, and then people will behave so badly. You'll see. You're going to have to go back to the regulator and say, you know what, we need rules. We've seen it happen even with the internet. The internet was supposed to be unregulated. How is the U.S. able to shut off the taps of the internet to North Korea in the blink of an eye? Right? We thought that was a decentralized, unregulated system. It's not.
Oh, not even close.
Yeah. So I like what I like, and as a technology layman, and I'm self-admitted, I like that Trreb is trying to improve. Like, I like that they are putting time and money into this, because what's going to happen is they're going to start attracting the right people who are going to end up being in the real estate industry. There's lots of people who do this, Charles, and you can probably name some examples. Like, I'll give the guy who owns Costa from Broker Bay, right? He was an agent. And he solved a problem with Broker Bay because he had real estate world experience and obviously a technological background and skill set. And he was able to go and transition into the Broker Bay system to make it now a partnership with Trreb. That Trreb now, Darryl, so you know, Broker Bay is going to be through all of Trreb. So everyone will have it, right? Not just the half of them, right? That have
So
it right
now everybody can use it wrong. Perfect.
Well, that's learning processes, but yes,
Yeah.
you're right. But that's what I mean. So now somebody with technology experience who's going to be maybe a real estate background or got their license or whatever it is can then say, hey, you know what? Like I love selling, but this is my real passion, and I'm going to then go and improve the blockchain system that Treb's already started on. That's what's needed. Otherwise, everyone's just going to look at it like you do, Darryl, and say this is old, but I don't have the time to design something new that's going to work. So I'll just continue to, you know, sell real estate every day. And like that's what excites me, is that this will really attract people who are in this space and understand it. Younger people who are like,
Yeah.
this is like, they've been dealing with this for 10 years already. They understand it all, and they'll make it better. And we'll have things that we can't even imagine right now as being useful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm this opens up so many investment opportunities for so many people. You can split up a house into 10 with this, and you can have 10 different investors buy 1/10 of the property, and it can already be set up to like run itself with a property management company and everything visible to all partners. Like this is gonna be insane.
Third party applications, right?
I
So if
hope
they
you
allow
guys
those,
get
that's
this
a whole
right.
nother.
This is major
Well,
stuff. That's
Another
wonderful,
area.
wonderful,
Well, you can
wonderful
also
insight.
Google the compliance regime that we're also adopting. We're all going to be RESO compliant, so that not only are the third parties going to be able to map out to our system quite easily because it's all standardized. We're literally joining the global environment of real estate. All of our cousins. I think the next closest signed real estate board to us would be Chicago. And I believe they're running in excess of 30 or 40,000 realtors. So when you take two large real estate boards like that, and you collaborate and you envision what this industry should look like in the future, that's where it's got to start. It's the big boys that lead the little boys. It's not the other way around. There's no tail wagging the dog here.
I think it's going to be somebody that has nothing to do with the real estate boards that's going to make something amazing that everybody's going to have no choice to adopt. You guys will help make it happen, but like somebody has to come at this from a totally fresh perspective. And right now, there's just too much old in the mix. I can't even imagine like to make a decision with all those like characters involved, like how long it would take to make it and how many egos and old school mentalities. Like, well, good luck. But
all the big money, Darryl. So Wall Street and Silicon Valley has been in the real estate industry since as long as Wall Street and Silicon Valley has existed.
Sure.
And they've always been trying to crush the commission model. They've always been trying to get their piece of real estate commission. So yeah, this will allow for them to start focusing on something else that is going to be more consumer driven. That's actually going to be successful because every other attempt they've made has failed. Right.
So let's talk about the naysayers against the technology. These guys that are like, completely resistant to change. And we have more than a few of these bodies sitting in very senior positions in our associations. These guys are literally going to walk out and challenge us, challenge the industry from making any of these changes. And one of the biggest one that is notable, and you said it, Darryl, it's someone who's got absolutely no relationship to the real estate industry. And that would be Rich Barton, the founder of Expedia. So, he developed Zillow, and Zillow is now the most searched MLS system in the United States. They have more searches than Realtor.com does. How did that happen? A guy that has absolutely no real estate experience whatsoever, no credentials, can walk in and open one of the world's largest real estate organizations. All at Zillow. They also own Dotloop. They also own a piece of, I believe it's a DocuSign, and all those affiliates. These guys are all big tech people, and they are in our space. So they are the disruptors right now. And what they're going to do is, yes, there's a human rights thing saying, real estate is not a commodity. It should not be commoditized.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? When you really look at real estate, it's no different from anything else. It is a commodity.
And it's
and
scarce.
people want to buy it like a commodity. The consumer will dictate what they want. The industry is reacting and saying, this is what we have to offer you.
Yeah.
Right?
Listen,
if you talk about technology, there's so many technical leaders out there, and you know what? Real estate is a big portfolio.
huge. Huge. There's so many new cool technologies coming out in real estate, and they all do just like a tiny little thing. Just a tiny little repetitive, stupid task. And barely anybody uses them now. But somebody one day is going to come at it with really fresh eyes, untainted fresh eyes, and go, what the hell are these guys doing? Like, if they would just do it like this, it would be so much better for all. Like some young kid who tried to buy a house and it was just a disaster, you know, and he knows how to write some code, and boom, next thing you know, you got like the most wonderful user interface, all the information scraped from all the right places, put into like the nicest package for everybody, and then some uniformity, you know, like maybe some nice uniformity so that when I look at this listing and compare it to this listing, there's actually comparable information, you know, that makes sense, not just like what some realtor pulled off of somewhere that, you know, tells a story, or even on House Sigma. Like, I don't know if that's the whole story, or like, I don't know what their algorithm's pulling up for comparables. Like, there just needs to be this uniformity, I think, that a technology can create. But like, you guys are like, it's going to be banging your head against the walls with so many gigantic layers. But I mean, fuck, somebody has to do it. I hope you guys knock it out of the
Trreb
park.
is responding, right? I mean, they've just signed with Broker Bay. They're working on
Beautiful.
Realm.
Yeah,
Authentisign, it's not bad, but it's a part of the Trreb system, right? So people can use that. And I think just that's exactly what you just said. Somebody's going to come in, they're going to develop a new tech that's going to make sense, and Trreb is willing to
Trreb is going to
buy them, or partner with them, or license it, right? And that's good. That's a really good sign for what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys that you said as a question as to whether or not you were going to do it was third-party app involvement, where people can, you know, help make it better, but you guys are still that portal, right? Like Shopify. Shopify has a million little sub apps that are all making a ton of money, and you know, that just make Shopify better depending on the experience you're trying to provide for your clientele. Like, why block out all these great ideas that just still have to come through you? So if I was on the board and I had a vote, I would vote definitely put third-party apps in there. That's what keeps control and keeps people innovating on your behalf.
Yeah, open source. Just let people figure it out what the glitches are, and let the consumers respond if it's a good product or not. If they use it, great. If not, it goes by the wayside. They stop making updates and it gets deleted.
Like, can you put a link to anything right now on a MLS listing?
No.
Isn't that crazy?
Not branded anyways. It can't be self-serving. The links must be specific. So let's say you're putting in a video tour or a drone video or a virtual tour through Matterport or something like that. It has to be unbranded. This is what we're trying to do as an industry, is we're trying not to allow all the brands and self-marketing promotions to exist on our permanent record.
Which makes sense, because there's people who abuse that. People abuse that. We can't even get open houses, right, Darryl? Come on.
No, but hold on. But why can't there be all the important information already on the listing, kind of like House Sigma? Like, I guess that's where you can have
a website that's not branded that has literally everything to do with that property and neighborhood and everything linked.
But right now it's crazy. Like a good realtor like TK can't just put a link to a Google Drive file that has all the comps and the geo warehouse, like all the stuff that somebody like the what's it called? The inspection report, like all these documents that'll be on your token.
No. Yeah, for the consumer, not yet, because then it's too regulated. Like the board has to then scrutinize everything to make sure that it's right. But I can do that with agents. I can send that to agents.
In the back end. You're right.
Yeah. So
don't forget, board is a business to business provider. They are not B2C.
But this is what I worry about, is the decisions by this board are made by keeping control, not what's best for the industry, right? And this is what their decision process is based on for everything. Like what we just said. That's not better for the industry. That's better for Trreb.
Well, how do you feed 60,000 real estate agents in the greater Toronto area?
How do you what?
How do you feed them? Like there are not enough transactions to go around.
Yeah, you don't give out that many licenses. I think there should be one license per listing. Hold on. So that, which is actually interesting. So you said you have 120 agents in your office. How many listings are there?
So we carry anywhere between 75 to 80 listings at any given time at my larger office, which is down on Bloor Street. At my smaller office up in Thornhill, with only 40 agents, we carry about 20 to 25 listings on a consistent basis. So what and as TK knows, these listings don't sit on our MLS for long. So the fact that you have any inventory in this market, inventory is down 30% year over year. There's almost nothing to buy out there.
Are people working more with buyers? Are people latching on to buyers now?
I just had a listing in Milton, of all places. Now I have a membership, so I actually uploaded it to ITSO, so it ended up on both MLS systems. So it got maximum exposure. In 2 days, there were 59 appointments. And luckily the house is empty. So we removed the showing restriction, the COVID-19 showing restrictions, and we allowed overlapping appointments. We had to, because there's just so many buyer agents out there. Got multiple offers, right? Sold it in a day and a half.
In Milton, for how much? How much?
It was listed for $850. It went for $970 with only 3 offers.
Sold over asking.
And you know what? At $850, it was fair market value.
See, that's what it should say. Sold over market value, right? How much over what it should have sold for? Market value did it sell for? What do I care? Yeah. Sold over asking. We asked for $1.
Yeah. So it is 11 o'clock. We got to wrap this up. Charles, you're a wealth of knowledge. We could probably have you on monthly, but I definitely want to get you on again at some point, maybe later in the year, first thing next year, because I think that this is a really good topic that we should be updating people on. And I think Trreb is definitely going to be a leader in this, and it sounds like they're heading in the right direction. So we appreciate that. Any social media or anything like that you want to share? So if people want to follow you, they can check you out.
Yeah, my website's charlespark.ca. There are links to my social media right in that webpage. But if you need to give me a call directly, my number is 647-292-8886. Always happy to take anyone's call.
Awesome.
Beauty.
And
thank
we
you.
appreciate this, and
that was fantastic. Yes, thanks
for having me on, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.